Last night, you died for 8 hours. Your body lay motionless, your breathing slowed, and your consciousness vanished. But here's the crazy part. You came back. And while you were gone, you lived entire lifetimes in worlds that felt completely real. So where exactly did you go? I'm talking about the part of you that's watching this right now. The part that thinks, feels, and experiences life. Scientists call it consciousness, but they have no idea what it actually is or where it comes from. And when you sleep, they're completely clueless about where it goes. But what if I told you that your consciousness doesn't just disappear into nothingness? What if it travels somewhere that mainstream science refuses to acknowledge? What if every night you're taking a journey to realms that are more real than the world you wake up in? Today, we're going to explore the forbidden truth about consciousness and sleep. And I guarantee that after watching this, you'll never look at bedtime the same way again. Let's start with something that will blow your mind. When you sleep, your brain doesn't rest. In fact, it becomes more active than when you're awake. I know it sounds backwards, but stick with me. During deep sleep, your brain waves slow down, sure, but the moment you start dreaming, something incredible happens. The parts of your brain responsible for vision and emotion light up like a Christmas tree. They're working harder than they do when you're actually seeing and feeling things in the real world. Meanwhile, the part of your brain that keeps you logical and grounded, the prefrontal cortex, basically shuts off. This is why dreams feel so weird, and why you can fly or talk to your dead grandmother without questioning it. But here's the million-dollar question. If your brain is working overtime during dreams, how can sleep be rest? It's like saying your car is parked while the engine is redlining. Something doesn't add up. What if sleep isn't about rest at all? What if it's about your consciousness shifting into a completely different mode of operation? Now here's where things get really interesting. Every single night, your brain produces a substance that's so powerful, it's banned in most countries. It's called DMT, dimethyltryptamine. DMT is known as the spirit molecule because when people take it, they report visiting other dimensions, meeting intelligent beings, and experiencing realities that feel more real than this one. Shamans have used it for thousands of years to access what they call the spirit world. And your brain makes this stuff naturally, every single night. Scientists have discovered that your pineal gland, a tiny organ in the center of your brain, releases DMT precisely when you enter REM sleep. This isn't an accident. Your brain is literally dosing itself with a psychedelic compound every time you dream. Ancient cultures called the pineal gland the third eye, the gateway to other worlds. Modern science is starting to understand why they might have been right. Think about it. The same chemical that mystics use to access otherworldly realms is flooding your brain every night. Coincidence? I don't think so. Here's something that sleep researchers don't like to talk about. Thousands of people report leaving their bodies during sleep. Not dreaming about it, actually experiencing their consciousness floating above their physical body, watching themselves sleep. These aren't just weird dreams. People describe seeing their bedroom from above, traveling to other locations, and even gathering information about places they've never been. Information that later turns out to be accurate. Sarah, a nurse from Ohio, tells us she regularly floats above her body during sleep. One night she drifted to her sister's house, across town, and saw her sister crying in the kitchen. The next morning she called her sister, who confirmed she'd been up crying at exactly that time about a problem she hadn't told anyone about. If consciousness is just brain activity trapped inside your skull, how do you explain this? How can people gather real information about distant places while their body never moves? But it gets even stranger. Some people report sharing dreams with others, not similar dreams. The exact same dream experienced simultaneously by multiple people who later compare notes and find identical details. Jeremy and his college roommate Mark discovered they'd been having the same recurring dream about a mysterious library for months. When they finally compared notes, they realized they'd been exploring the same building, meeting the same librarian, and even reading the same books. Books that don't exist in the real world. How do two separate brains create identical imaginary experiences? The mainstream explanation is that it's just coincidence. But when you look at how often this happens, coincidence starts to seem pretty unlikely. Here's the truth that makes scientists uncomfortable. Consciousness might not be produced by the brain at all. What if your brain is more like a radio receiver, tuning into different frequencies of consciousness? During the day, your brain is locked onto the frequency of physical reality. But at night, when logical thinking shuts down and DMT floods your system, your consciousness tunes into something else entirely, a field of pure information that exists beyond space and time. This would explain everything: shared dreams, out-of-body experiences, prophetic dreams, and why dream worlds often feel more real than reality itself. Quantum physicists are starting to theorize that consciousness might be a fundamental field, like gravity or electromagnetism. If that's true, then your individual consciousness is just one wave in an infinite ocean of awareness. Ancient mystery schools taught that sleep was humanity's nightly journey to the spirit world. They believed that during these travels, consciousness could access higher knowledge, communicate with other beings, and even influence physical reality. The Egyptians called it traveling in the boat of Ra. The Tibetans developed dream yoga to navigate these realms consciously. Indigenous shamans across the world speak of dreamtime as a parallel reality where all minds connect. For thousands of years, humans understood that sleep was more than rest. It was a pilgrimage to the source of consciousness itself. Then came the scientific revolution. Suddenly, anything that couldn't be measured or weighed was dismissed as superstition. Dreams became random neural firing. Consciousness became just brain activity, and the profound mystery of sleep was reduced to biological maintenance. But what if the ancients were right? What if we threw away the most important knowledge about human consciousness when we decided that only physical matter was real? If consciousness can exist independently of the brain, if it can travel to other realms during sleep, then everything we think we know about reality is wrong. Death might not be the end of consciousness, just another transition like waking up from a dream. Other dimensions might be as real as this one, and the boundaries between separate minds might be nothing more than an illusion. This knowledge has been suppressed because it threatens the materialist worldview that consciousness is nothing special, just a side effect of brain chemistry. But as quantum physics continues to reveal the mysterious nature of reality, we're rediscovering what ancient wisdom keepers always knew. We're not just biological machines having hallucinations. We're consciousness itself, temporarily focused through the lens of a physical brain. And every night we return to our true home, the infinite field of awareness that connects all minds, all possibilities. So tonight, as you drift off to sleep, remember this: you're not just resting. You're embarking on a journey to realms where consciousness operates by different laws, where information flows freely, and where the boundaries between self and universe dissolve. Your dreams aren't random brain static. They're postcards from dimensions of reality that exist beyond the physical world. And your consciousness isn't disappearing into nothingness. It's returning to the infinite source from which it came. The question isn't where your consciousness goes when you sleep. The question is, why does it ever come back? Maybe because it has work to do here. Maybe because this physical reality is just one classroom in an infinite university of consciousness. Or maybe because the journey between worlds is what makes us truly human. If this video opened your mind to new possibilities, I want you to do something for me. Tonight, before you fall asleep, set an intention. Tell yourself that you want to remember where your consciousness goes. Keep a journal by your bed and write down whatever you remember, no matter how weird or impossible it seems. Drop a comment below and tell me about your strangest sleep experience. Have you ever had an out-of-body experience? A shared dream? A dream that felt more real than reality? Share your story. You might be surprised how many others have experienced the same thing. And here's the most important part. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're going to explore more forbidden knowledge about consciousness, reality, and the mysteries that mainstream science refuses to discuss. From lucid dreaming techniques to near-death experiences, from quantum consciousness to ancient wisdom, we're going to uncover the truth about what it means to be human.